In the tough streets of Harlem, a young Ellsworth Bumpy Johnson learned how to survive. He learned to fight, to scheme, and to dominate. But one lesson was about kindness. It was kindness shown to a hungry, desperate 14-year-old that he would never forget. This isn't the Hollywood myth. This is the real Bumpy. This is the untold story of a debt repaid 20 years later in an unexpected way. Before we explore the remarkable true story of Bumpy's unwavering loyalty, make sure to subscribe now and join the Bumpy Johnson Underworld community. We're here to uncover the truth behind the legends, leaving Hollywood fantasies behind. You won't want to miss the real history we reveal each week. Imagine young Bumpy Johnson, just a boy, trying to make his way in a city that overwhelmed the weak. A single meal could mean the difference between survival and despair. Amidst the concrete and hunger, an old woman saw more than just another street kid. She saw a soul and offered a plate. The year was 1920. Ellsworth Johnson had recently arrived from the South and was only 14. Harlem was alive with jazz, ambition, and extreme poverty. For Bumpy, it was mostly poverty. He had left South Carolina searching for opportunity, but found only the harsh reality of hunger. He was a tough kid, showing early signs of the intelligence and defiance that would later define him. But at 14, he was still vulnerable. One cold evening, searching for scraps, he stood outside a modest brownstone where the smell of warm food drifted from an open window. An old woman, Mrs. Eloise Williams, noticed him. She was a widow living alone with little to spare, but she had a kind heart. She didn't know who this quiet, watchful boy was, nor did she care about his future. She saw a hungry child. Without a word, she motioned for him to come in, sat him at her small table, and put a plate of stew before him. It was a simple act, a bowl of stew. But to Bumpy, it was a lifeline, a moment of pure generosity in a world that demanded payment for everything. He ate, thanked her with a solemn nod, and left. He did not see her again for a long time. The streets of Harlem were Bumpy's school. He quickly moved up through the ranks, first working under numbers boss Stephanie St. Clair and then forging his own path. He wasn't just a thug. He was a strategist, a chess master in a world of checkers. His mind was his greatest weapon. He learned to speak softly but carry a big stick. He built an empire and stood toe-to-toe with the Italian mob, even Lucky Luciano himself, earning respect through a mix of intelligence, ruthlessness, and an uncanny ability to predict his enemies' moves. This was when the legend of Bumpy Johnson was born. He was the man who protected his community while ruling it with an iron fist, the man Malcolm X would later call his protector. His name became tied to power, fear, and a strange, complex sense of justice. He was the uncrowned king of Harlem. But even with all his power and wealth, one memory from his youth lingered. A simple act of kindness from an old woman. 2 decades passed, filled with blood, power, and struggle. Bumpy Johnson was no longer the hungry boy. He had become a force. Yet, the memory of Mrs. Eloise Williams never really faded, and it was a quiet reminder of a different kind of debt. He had wealth now. He had influence. He could command armies of men. But what could he offer an old woman who had simply given him a meal when he had nothing? Would she even remember him? Did she need anything? One day, Bumpy made a decision. He sent his men to search Harlem, not for enemies or rivals, but for a forgotten kindness. They had one simple task: find Mrs. Eloise Williams. When they located her, Bumpy Johnson would return. They found her living in the same modest brownstone. Older now, her movements slower and her situation humble but dignified. She barely remembered the skinny, quiet boy she had fed so long ago. Why would she? It was just another act of charity in her life, of quiet compassion. Then one afternoon, a line of expensive cars pulled up to her street. The men in suits emerged, and then a figure stepped out. A man whose name scared many, but whose eyes held a flicker of memory. Ellsworth Bumpy Johnson. He approached her without fanfare or threats. It was just a quiet conversation. He reminded her of the bowl of stew, the warmth she had once offered. Mrs. Williams, taken aback, slowly remembered the young boy. Bumpy didn't ask for favors or demand loyalty. He simply repaid the debt. He paid off her mortgage. He ensured her groceries would be delivered weekly for the rest of her life. He arranged for her home to be repaired and maintained, not with a flashy display of power, but with quiet generosity that reflected who he truly was. This was the real Bumpy, a man of complex principles, a king who remembered where he came from. The story of Bumpy Johnson and Mrs. Eloise Williams is more than just a tale of repayment. It offers a glimpse into the hidden layers of a man often seen as purely ruthless. It shows that even in the darkest places, acts of kindness can resonate for decades, shaping the lives of both those who receive them and, sometimes, those who give. He didn't just survive. He remembered. He didn't just take. He gave back on his own terms. These are the nuances, the forgotten truths that Hollywood often overlooks. If you found this look into the real Bumpy Johnson as captivating as we did, remember to like this video and subscribe to the Bumpy Johnson Underworld channel for more authentic, unfiltered history. Click the notification bell so you never miss another untold story. What other legends do you want us to uncover? Let us know in the comments below. We're here to highlight the true history, one legend at a time.